All right, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Real Fitness Show. You guys know it, the only show where we talk about what fitness really is, how you should use it, and how it can really improve your life. And to do so, today I have the honor to introduce you to my colleague, Marcus Mackay, founder of M-Perform. Listen, Marcus has an incredible track of over 10 years as an award-winning coach and has helped over 3,000 clients. Is that correct, Marcus?
I think we're coming up on four, but yeah,
4,000 clients. That's a goal. And the thing that I love about it is that you help them go from survival mode to thrive mode, right? I think that Marcus has an approach on fitness that is really focused on performance, recovery, just making sure you're doing things right. And that's one of the things that make his work something that I resonate with to a really deeper level. So he's here today to share some of those insights with us. And man, brother, I'm so happy to have you on the show today. Welcome to the podcast.
well, thanks so much for having me. I hope I can be valuable, be of service for your listeners. Yeah, let's have a great conversation and let's give some value.
Man, I have zero doubts about it. Zero doubts about it. Before we dive in, guys, I wanna remind you that this is a completely free podcast. We don't run any ads. We don't try to monetize it in any way. This is just purely trying to give you guys some value back. And there's a couple of ways that you can actually help the show grow. And first of all, if you enjoyed the episode, only if you do, consider leaving a 5-star rating in whatever platform you're listening to if you think it was worth the effort. And secondly, and this is the most important one, if you think this conversation might be beneficial to someone else, just make sure you share it with them so we can spread the word of the real fitness. So with that being said, Marcus, I know you have a quite of a bit interesting story on how you started into your fitness and health journey. So why don't we start by talking a little bit about what got you into coaching and helping people?
Yeah, sure. So I think a lot of us will feel this is in our teenage years, athletic, active, spending so much time playing sports. I was a competitive athlete in tennis and hockey, lacrosse. And then that obsessive mentality of towards sports as I moved into university moved towards alcohol and drugs. And unfortunately, I didn't come victim. I chose those habits, and those habits started taking over my life. And so little did I know, by the age of 21 or so, I was having horrible anxiety attacks, likely due to substance abuse, likely due to poor sleep, poor nutrition, lack of exercise, all the things that we coach. And I was really depressed. And everybody's going to have their breaking point. Like enough is enough. I don't know about you, but when clients come to M-Perform, some of our best transformations is because they've gone to a doctor. Our clients gone to a doctor and the doctor said, hey, like if you don't turn your things around, like this is what's coming. And we all need that potential moment where it's okay, my life up until this point will no longer serve me. And if I want to create a future better self, I need to start doing things differently. So that was me, early 20s. I actually have a pre-law degree in philosophy, and I went back to school. I loved coaching. I coached in tennis. I did all these, certifications and got up to speed on nutrition, followed all the Poliquin stuff. And then, 10 years later, I've now run M-Perform, and we help people go from survival mode to thrive mode. And I really target men 30 to 50 years old who have struggled with maybe work-life balance, who struggle with their self-talk, who struggle when they look at themselves in the mirror, and they want to live life a little bit differently.
Love that, man. And I think that a lot of people who are listening right now can probably resonate to what you went through, because that is something that in our society it's almost even like it's not even something that is condemned, right? You're going to school, like you're getting busted, you're not taking care of yourself, you are maybe you are a little bit older right now in your career, you're just going all into your career or finances or whatever, you're not really taking care of your body. And like to our society, that's not necessarily something bad, right? There's a lot of people who think that, hey, that's just the way it is, right? There's like stages in my life. Now I'm gonna focus on this, then I will kind of like try to get my health back. Um, but I think a lot of things are really wrong in that mindset. But I kind of like want to see what's your view on this kind of like mentality of I'm gonna kind of like compartmentalize my life into now I'm starting my career, I need to go all in into this, or now I'm in college, I need to go all in into partying and all that, and I will take care of my health later. And waiting until, like you mentioned, doctor telling you, or red flag appearing. Like, what's your take on that kind of mentality? What do you think is causing that, and what do you think is the downside of it?
Well, there's a lot of downside. Like kicking the ball doesn't down the field doesn't change the problem. You're just kicking the ball further down, and that ball is just going to get heavier and heavier to lift. Um, I think most people struggle with balance. Balance is a really popular word, but there is no balance. Balance means that things are in equal measure. So if you're watching this, a seesaw, if something's in equal balance, it means completely flat, right? But we know that we spend most of our time working. So by definition, our life is always out of balance. So that's why I refuse to use the word balance. I like the word harmony and integrative. And so you need to understand what your top values are. If you ask anybody what their top value is, it's likely health. Because when their health, if you can no longer breathe, you can't do shit.
Mm-hmm.
If you can no longer walk or support your family, whatever it is, that's your highest value. But if I were to look at your schedule and see where you're putting your intention or your actions, that is not your highest value. So when people say, I'm just going to kick it down the road, there are so many studies that show that people who take care of their health are more wealthy. Mm-hmm. So many studies that people, like, when you exercise, you feel better. You're happier. You're more pleasant to be around. You're less irritable. You're a better father, leader, role model, all this shit. Mm-hmm. So if you can come around to the fact that investing in your health and what you're doing is actually projecting or catapulting you in other areas of life, then it doesn't seem like a waste of time. I say to my clients, can you give me 4% of your day to take care of yourself? They're like, oh yeah, I can take 4%. Yeah, because you got 24 hours. A 45-minute workout training session is 4%. Even if you get 15% or 15, that's like 1% of your day. If your health, you're telling me your health is your top priority, but you can't dedicate 1% of your 24 hours to your body, reimagine or reconfigure what you're doing with your life. I'm sorry, that's mean, but it's true.
It is. No, and listen, that 4%, I've never thought about it that way, but it's really, really true. Like people would, and I think one of the main problems that they kind of like hold people back when it comes to really taking action on their quote unquote priorities is that when you I don't know, when you fill a report, right, for work, it's done, and it's a one less task that you need to do, and it's like a like small sense of progression, right? And when it comes to the health and fitness, in many cases, you do a workout, you feel great afterwards, but you don't see that extra, kind of like rectification of, okay, I'm getting closer to my goal. I'm getting closer to my goal. That happens maybe once a week when you take a look at the mirror. Maybe the next time that you do the same workout and you're actually increasing the weight, all that stuff. It's not like that automatic. And I think that many people underestimate the power of the little things every single day. The, like you mentioned, that 4% of your day dedicated to that, and what that can impact the other 96% of the day. Because like you mentioned, when you are healthy, when you are like your athletes, right? Because your clients end up being athletes and like high performers, they show up differently in their work. They show up differently in their relationship. They show up different as a father. And all those little things are going to compound like crazy afterwards. Not only on the physical, which is obviously one of the sides, and we'll be getting into that, but like also in the other life of the other parts of their life. And let me ask you this about the harmony concept that you mentioned, which I think is really interesting. And I'm gonna try to play a little bit of devil advocates here. But when it comes to like, everyone talks about work life balance, right? Figuring out what's going to be that balance. So now we're reframing that into harmony, which means that not everything is going to be equal, but we're going to try to put everything, all the pieces in place to make them work together. Do you think it is possible to be excellent or elite in all the different areas of your life, or that harmony makes it harder for you to exceed, in areas and you need to get some out of them out?
Okay, let's put it. That's a great question. So let's split our life into three categories. You have health, wealth, and relationships. Let's call them your relationships with your family, friends, community, and then wealth is your work, professional development, all that stuff would lie under that. And then your health is, okay, is it getting to the gym? Is it meditation? Like when I talk about health, everything that involves bringing up your physical body. Can you have harmony in all three of those? For sure, because I know people who do.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes effort.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes ruthless structuring of your day. And this is what people, there's a study that looked at children playing in the playground. One group was shown a playground, or they played in a playground. It didn't have any fences. And all the children actually gathered towards the center of the field. But when they had a fence, they had areas that they could play in. They played all the way around the edges. So when you have structure in your life, when you script your days, when you plan the night before, you got a lot of stuff to get in during the day. The more organized you are, and the more you can just show up and play the game rather than thinking about playing the game. I'm sure there's a lot of people on here who wake up, be like, oh, what do I have to do today? Huh? And they sit there. I would rather wake up and look at my calendar and be like, okay, these are my top priorities. This is what I'm executing on. I do this at this time. Okay, boom, let's get to work. Then all of a sudden, I'm done by 2 or 3 p.m. because I just put my head down.
Yep.
And I'm ruthless with my structuring. I got some guys who run multiple companies, right? They have families. They get their training in, all this stuff. They play golf twice a week. But they've delegated a lot of things. They've known what they do best and they delegate the rest. And they're living in line with their values, which we talked about. Mm-hmm. And so, can you have harmony? Can you have equal? I think so, but it's going to take work. Mm-hmm. It's going to take effort.
It's not just gonna happen, right? Just because you want it and you try, and it's like that is not gonna happen. Because this is what I see, and I don't know if that happened with your in your world, but like what I see a lot with clients that are coming in is that they're like, when we talk about priorities and obviously all that, is like, yeah, this week I really focus on my workouts. And next week I really focus on work. And then the week after that, I realized that I haven't taken a date night for like a month. And then all of a sudden I do 2 date nights this weekend. And they can like go into like all into different efforts, but it's not combined. And what happens is that once they go into one of those areas and they go a little bit harder, and this is something that we need to work a lot when we get started on my program, at least, because I get people who get into the program like, oh, you know what? I want to do everything right now. Like, I'm starting the transformation. I want to get all the workouts, all the nutrition, all the micros, like tell me about everything that I need to know about health and fitness forever, and I will do it this week. And then what they don't realize is that by doing that, they're losing that harmony because they're not structuring it, right? At the end of the day, it's just a matter of not doing everything at once, but figuring out, okay, these are the things that I need to plan for. Like, how can I make the important things kind of like work together? So what is your take when it comes to organizing, right? We're talking about organizing your day, organizing your priorities. Do you, and this is probably a little bit more of a specific question, but do you kind of like set up like, I'm gonna dedicate this amount of time on my week to work. I'm gonna dedicate this amount of time on my week to workouts, this amount of time to my family, or is it just like these are the things that I need to get them done first, and then the rest of the time I can like divide it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I believe in time blocking. So like allocating at least 90 minutes to certain tasks.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing, like, if you have a big project, like, a project can seem overwhelming, even if it's a personal project, like building a shed or something, oh God, I got to get all this lumber and all that. No, you got to just get the lumber first.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or you need to, look at it, health and fitness. Like, okay, so what's your lead domino? And when I say a lead domino, is even the smallest domino, if stacked against the right dominoes, can impact the massive domino.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of us, one of the most important things in health and business is momentum. And everybody's on this who's listening has felt momentum. They felt inspired. They felt grooving. That's momentum. And so what is the one thing when it comes to your health that's going to give you the most momentum? For a lot of people, it's a training session, because when they train, they're going to eat better. When they train, they're going to sleep better. When they train, they're going to think better. For relationships, what's the one thing? What's your lead domino? Is it scheduling time to pick up your kids or whatever it is? Like, what's your lead domino? For me, my dog hit my lead domino for my relationship. Like, I know it's my dog, but every single morning I spend time training with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the first thing I do when I wake up. And then after work, I spend an hour hiking with them. But those are scheduled because it's a great way to start my day. And hiking in the woods with him is an amazing way to disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
Wealth. Everybody's in different industries, but you see what I'm saying? Small things add up to big things over time. Water is just water at 99 degrees. It boils at 100. So think about, just takeaway for the listeners is think about your one lead domino. So we just did Q2 goal setting. I don't know what time you're listening, but we just got into Q2 of 2022. And so every 90 days, I push my clients to set objectives. 90-day, we call them OMGs. You know this from Corby, one major goal. And a lot of these goals have to do with just one thing. One thing. Can I do this one thing? And when I do it, the rest takes care of itself.
That's just so insightful, because like I mentioned, a lot of people, when you go on social media, right, you get the sense, because you start following like fitness pros and like influencers and stuff, and you see everything that they do. And you see people who are maybe in chapter 10 doing 10 different things. And you're like, wow, I need to do all these things. And what happens is that, like you mentioned, like when you start like a personal project, you see all the different things that you need to do, you can get overwhelmed, and you never get to that point where you're building the momentum, because you're trying to do one thing, you didn't get the momentum, and then you go to the next thing, and then you go to the next thing, and then to the next thing, and it comes to the point where you feel completely lost. You don't see any progress. You don't feel any momentum, and it's like you mentioned. It's really hard to get the ball rolling if you're just trying to make too many balls to roll at the same time. It's a lot better if you can just focus on one big rock, move it, and even when at the beginning it might be a little bit harder, the bigger the rock, the better the momentum is going to be going downhill. So you talked about like setting up goals and like and kind of like finding what that first domino piece is going to be for you. What is the process that you teach your clients, or what do you do yourself when it comes to like, okay, I'm in this situation right now. How do I know which is that first piece? Like, how do I find
Yeah, this might be a better way of looking at it. It's like, okay, so who's the person I want to be?
it? Mm-hmm.
What do they look like? How do they feel? Like, just get so descriptive of who you want to be. All right, write your own superhero. How do they wake up? What do they do? What does their physique look like? What are they thinking? And what are the actions they do? Because we know identity habits are the most powerful thing when it comes to habit change.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get clear on your new identity, We talked about values. Your values literally become your identity. The word identity, the Greek word, comes from what you do repeatedly. So your identity is what you repeatedly do. So if you can get clear on your identity of being a role model, of being an athlete, of being like, I got 3, I'll give you mine. I want to be a monk every day. I want to be non-reactive. I want to be present. I want to be, I want to handle everything with love, because life is stressful. When you handle things with compassion and love, watch your moods change. The second identity I want to show up as an athlete. I might be kind, generous in spirit when you see me on the street, but in the gym, like, I'll rip your head off. I want to be an athlete. I'm competitive as hell. The third identity I want to show up as each day is a leader. I need to be a leader of my family. I need to be a leader in my business. I need to be the role model. So getting clear on what your lead domino is just getting clear on that identity. And what's the thing you're lacking, or what's the thing you're doing that's compromising your results? Because oftentimes it's the things that you're doing that are compromising your results. Is it beers 4 times a week after work? Is it pressing snooze? Like there's also the things you are doing that are sabotaging your success.
Mm-hmm.
Is that clear? So identity,
it is
habits, yeah.
And it's just like there's this there's a lot of studies that talk about like the importance of setting the identity and not trying to. So I think that a lot of people think that it goes the wrong way. A lot of people think that I'm going to do the activities, and those activities are going to create my identity, right? If I go to run every day, I'm going to become a runner. But however, even if you do that, it can happen. That has a lot of different variables into it. It comes like motivation, you have like context, a lot of different things that can make that go wrong. However, if you do it the other way around, which has been scientifically shown that actually works, if you start believing that you have that identity, then the actions are going to come after that, just because the identity is what makes you do that. And like, just to put like a really simple example, a person who gets offered a cigarette and they say, nah, I don't smoke anymore, or I'm trying to quit, right? That person is a lot more likely to accept a cigarette in a low moment than a person who says, I don't smoke, right? Because you identify yourself with the person who don't smoke anymore. If you, getting back to the runner example, like if it's cold outside and you're trying to become a runner, you might be thinking, oh, it's cold, I don't want to get outside, like this and that. But if you're a runner, you know that a runner just literally just go out regardless of the conditions, regardless of the time. So you don't even look at the time, because your identity is telling you, oh, I'm a runner, this is what I need to do. So I think it's really interesting what you mentioned of every morning I wake up and these are the identities that I have. And I believe that. And I try to be as congruent as possible to those identities, because something that you also mentioned, you need to get really clear what that identity means, right? Because what does it mean for me to be an athlete? What does it mean for me to be a leader? What does it mean for me to be a dad, a caregiver, whatever it might be? Because once you're really, really clear on those things, like what that ideal person does, and if that's my identity, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to just do the right things, because that's just going to come from a point of you following your identity and not you just trying to become someone that you're not. I don't know if that kind of like makes sense, right? But I think that's the goal.
Well, your audience should have been taking notes there. But it's like, I love the example, the smoker example. Like, oh, I'm trying to quit. You're going to have another cigarette. But if you say, I'm not a smoker, I'll give you an example. I used to abuse alcohol and drugs, but now I don't drink. When someone hands me a shot, someone hands me a drink, server gives me a drink menu. Oh, thank you, but I don't drink. Show me your non-alcoholic menu. I'm just kidding. But it's so much more powerful, because if you live in this gray area of sometimes bullshit, like, you're going to slip. all the time because the brain loves doing what's easy and what's familiar to it. You will always go back to your old ways, especially in high pressure situations. Life gets full, busy, work is busy, fucking everybody's busy. It's bullshit. But the reality is if you can't get clear on this identity, your transformation, your health, your wealth, whatever, it won't last, because you'll go through these micro sprints of maximum commitment, get some awesome results, go back to your old ways. And it'll just be this, that's what they call the yo-yo. Everybody heard of the yo-yo? Maybe you've yo-yoed. I've yo-yoed. It's because I didn't know this shit. I didn't know this information. I tried to do too much too soon. When I was trying to quit partying, I'd be like, yeah, no fast food, no drinking, none of this bull, no girls, whatever it is. And I would be on track. And then I'd slip. And then I'd stay slipped up.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to that like approach of you gotta take like I feel this transformation is the same thing, right? As life and behavior change and anything you're like trying to tackle a habit, you need to take it from the perspective of what the goal is. And the goal is not to get there as fast as possible. The goal should be that once you get there, you're there, but you're never getting back. Right? You need to find a way. You need if this is through like progression, if this is through just directly going into your identity and trying working on that, doing that self work. But whatever it is, you need to make sure that once you get there, it's never temporary. Because I think you can like sprinkle through that. A lot of people, and this is why 97% of the people who lose fat gain it all back. Like 97%. That's like unreal statistics still close.
Or more. To put it on more.
And that's just because like they're not becoming a fit person. This is the thing. You can lose fat in whatever time you want. But the fact that you are achieving the fitness transformation does not make you a fit person or a healthy person. And I will tell you something more. Like a person who's overweight or super unhealthy physically, if they change that identity, they're already healthy because they're doing the things that a healthy person will do. Now, maybe the physique is not there yet, but it will because their identity is changing. And now they're doing the things that they're supposed to be doing, not because they want to lose fat, not because they want to look great, because they're a fit person and they're a healthy person. And that's like I mentioned, it all ties out to the identity.
This is just what you do. This is just who you are. And know that it's not forever. Like I'll probably have different values into my 60s, 70s, and 80s, but I do plan on hiking mountains when I'm 100 years old. And that all those actions we talked about, kicking the ball down the field, longevity is really important for people, health span and lifespan. So obviously do everything you can today to give yourself tomorrow the best chance of being their best self. So if you're 30, 40 years old, I want to look back when I'm 50 years old and look back on my 40-year-old self and look at photos and look at memories and videos and be like, thank you, man. Appreciate you.
That's the goal. That's literally the goal. All right, brother. Well, I don't want to try to go on top of that. I think that's literally it, guys. You want to take a look at your picture from 20, 30 years ago, 20, 30 years from now, and thank you because you took the right decisions today because you decided that you were worth it to put in the work. Because listen, we always say the same thing, and I say it on my podcast. I know Marcus said it on his content as well. This is not like we're never preaching that this is going to be easy. It's not. It's just going to be a commitment. It's something you're going to have to put effort in. But it's something that we can promise you is that it's going to be worth it. So I'm a hard believer in that, and I know Marcus as well. That you putting yourself as a priority is something that is always going to pay off. And again, I'm looking forward to see videos of you hiking at 100 years old, man. I'm really looking for that because I know that's happening. Like if you guys haven't seen Marcus, you should definitely. By the way, you're gonna give these guys your content whatever so they can find more about you. But like you should definitely see him. He's like a weapon. Like he really is a weapon of a man. So that's gonna be happening, man. I see that.
I appreciate that. Hey, like I moved to North Vancouver to live out my highest values, to be in the mountains constantly, to be around nature, to have fresh air, to be able to be athletic year round. But yeah, if you want to connect, fire me a DM or follow at Marcus Mackay on Instagram. And my podcast is Thrive Mode Radio. We're streaming on all platforms.
Well, you guys heard it. Marcus Mackay, is that with the C and a K, right?
Mackay, yeah.
All right, perfect. I'll leave the link on the description of the episode. And yeah, definitely, if you guys are not already following Marcus, you should definitely. He puts a really good content, really insightful stuff that is not. This is not something I say a lot, but like your content, man, is not mainstream on the sense of not that it's not good or it's not viral or anything, but like the detail and the insights that you give is not something that you see in every single, because you go into every single fitness platform, you're going to see ab exercises, you're going to see bicep exercises, you're going to see like this is my protein powder, but you really go into like this is the mindset that you need to use, this is the right movements to get a healthy joints, to get a healthy muscles, so you can like transform right. So guys, if you're really looking for good information that is actually well put, I'll really recommend you that you go and follow Marcus, not only on social media, but also on the podcast, which is just getting started, right? How many episodes do you guys have already?
I just recorded number 12.
All right. So you guys were go out there. Is that Thrive Radio? Is that it?
Thrive Mode Radio, baby.
Thrive Mode.
Without the baby, I added that.
Yeah. All right, guys. So before we go, like I always say, just doing this because we want to give you guys value. I try to bring you guys the most insightful and the best people in the industry to kind of like share with you some of their insights. And again, like we always say, if you like this podcast, you can always help us out by sharing it with a friend, putting it on social media, just liking it, whatever it might be that you want to engage with. And like I always say, if you didn't enjoy this podcast, listen, we've been here for like 30 minutes. I don't know what you're doing with your life. Just do something else, all right? If you keep on listening to this podcast, not liking it, but there's something else better that you can do.
So work on your lead domino.
For example, that could be a good thing to get doing. All right, brother Marcus, thank you so much for coming to the show today. It was great, and I think the audience got a really good value from it.
It's a pleasure, man. Appreciate it.
All right, and everyone else, I'll see you guys in the next episode of the Real Fitness Show next week. Take care.